Well, on behalf of the Department of Educational Leadership at Fresno State, I would like to welcome you to this breakout session. My name is Juliette Wallleitner, and I'm a faculty member in the Literacy, Early, Bilingual, and Special Education Department, and I'm a core member of the doctoral program in educational leadership at Fresno State. Before we begin, please take a moment to ensure you have a strong connection to set aside any potential distractions. In addition to turning off the ringer on your phone, I'd suggest that you temporarily turn off any Wi-Fi connections on your phone, iPad, or other devices to ensure you have a wider bandwidth. Please note this live session is being recorded. We have muted the mic for all participants, but if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to direct them to me using the chat feature or when directed out loud during the Q&A time of the session. Again, thank you for attending this session. And I will now introduce Jennifer Enns. So go ahead, good to begin.
Thank you, welcome. And we've been kind of chatting a little bit. I show that I don't have screen sharing. Is it possible to get that? And it does take me just a moment. Like I usually use Google Slides when I'm at work, but I have done all my homework in PowerPoint. So this is, it takes me a moment to remember how to like redo this in PowerPoint. So
you should be good to share now.
Okay, perfect. Let me see here. All right, I'm going to try something. I think you're going to end up seeing all of you to start with, and then I'm going to hit share. And let me see if this little trick. So I teach about or one of the things I support districts with is using Pdsa Cycles. So I am Pdsaing this right now. Are you seeing my PowerPoint right now? Oh, that's a Pdsa win right there. Okay, welcome everyone. I'm Jennifer Enns. I do work for Fresno County Superintendent of Schools as an executive leadership coach. I support school districts who have been identified for comprehensive support and improvement based on the dashboard. And so they've been identified for improvement. And I just defended my dissertation on Thursday. And so we'll be graduating from the doctoral program in just a couple short weeks. And so this is the work that I've been doing for the last year. But it started so much, more, all of this work starts long before. I talk about my own journey being, I'm first generation college, and I had an amazing fourth grade teacher who changed the trajectory of my life. She introduced me into what college was. And so for me, this research really started in some ways with that amazing teacher and wanting to be that kind of teacher for everybody else. And so really have always enjoyed looking at asset-based psychology and how we bring out the best in people. And so I'm just curious, just for a little, especially now that we have like a little bit of time since the second person isn't here and it's just a small group, what brings you joy in your work or in your program? And if you don't feel comfortable sharing out loud, maybe just throw it in the chat. But what brings you joy in your work? Or like if you right now are involved in a program, what brings you joy in that work?
For me, typically any joy that comes with my work is when I'm working with other people and there's a lot of passion for the work and you can see the positive impacts that it's having on the people that you're working with. So for me, that's probably the most important.
Those positive outcomes and how people love what they're doing. Oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you. And then Dr. Is it Wallleitner?
But you can just do it. It's okay.
Wallleitner, connecting with students and knowing I'm making a difference in students' lives. That being able to see those aha moments, right? Yes, thank you. Paul, do you feel comfortable sharing? If not, totally awesome.
Yeah, I'll share. I think for me right now, it's just learning. I think I started wanting to do K through 12 and just seeing that spark in the students and the things they're doing, seeing how they improved and the things that they are able to grasp. And now I'm shifting to higher ed and just learning this whole new world and seeing the what people are learning from me and what I'm taking from them. It's like, oh wow, this big aha moment for all of us.
Yeah, learners are learners no matter what our age, right? And we can all have ahas and we can all make connections with human beings, and that, you know, having those moments, and so thinking about that, like, thank you for sharing those so much. I really appreciate it. Hi, Dr. Walsh. And so thinking about that as we move forward, as you know, just sharing some of the research that from this dissertation, considering how we leverage those things in the people we work with and the people we teach, and to bring out the best in themselves and to support our culture and our climate with where we are. And so my research was specifically about, and if this, you know, the title is different because I took my writer's prerogative and changed my title after submitting my abstract. And so this is really an asset-based psychological approach to teacher well-being. And a lot of the research, though, has application for our work environments, for our school environments. Again, how do we bring out the assets in people? What brings people purpose and joy? And how do we bring that out to bring out the best in them and to bring out a sense of resilience and work satisfaction? So this is a big overview of of the research. And I have to give a ton of credit to my committee members, my chair, Dr. Yuhumenko. I am an English major. I never could have done a quantitative study without Dr. Yuhumenko. So I bow down to her and her love of statistics. And Dr. Sharma and Dr. Wandler, both of them contributed so much to this research. So I have to give them huge shout outs for all the work that they have done to make this happen. So just an overview of some of my learns as I've gone through this research and where it's gone, if it decides it wants to advance. Like there's like the spinning little wheel right there. There we go. And so first of all, just an introduction, kind of the problem that I was really investigating is some background is that teachers invest emotionally into their work. I mean, we are very connected to our students. We are very much about that there's a kind of intersection between the personal and the professional, right? We give so much, and then there's so much about what we're looking for in outcomes. And so that's one of the things, that Naya said in the research. Of course, this is just going to move slowly, right, as we're doing this. So so some of the things that Naya said in the research was that, again, it's a very personal profession. And some of the study of some of the work that I have done is about altruistic purpose and how we give of ourselves in that. And so we've also seen that in terms of that teachers are emotional, passionate. And I think that was Jenna, right? You talked about that with like the passion, and that teachers are emotional and passionate beings who connect with their students and fill their work in their classes with pleasure, creativity, challenge, and joy. And again, that whole idea of giving so much of ourselves. And so I love Kelcherman's definition of teacher retention. So I have looking at what keeps good teachers from leaving for the wrong reasons. And so the way I kind of visualized it a little bit, that helped me because I work with districts and we talk about driver diagrams, because like I had all these psychological constructs that were like all floating in my mind. And so the way I thought about it is my problem of practice that I was really looking at is teacher retention. How do we keep good teachers from leaving for the wrong reasons? Because some other research shows that 90% of the teacher shortage is from teacher attrition. So if that's my problem of practice, I looked at one of the drivers, or the driver that I chose to look at, that helps support teachers staying in and teacher retention is teacher well-being. And so that was the focus of my study, is teacher well-being. And so then I had several drivers or several pieces under teacher well-being to support that. And I'll get to that in just a moment. The next piece here shows the purpose of the study. And I'm sorry, it's going very slowly right now. So the purpose of the study, it was a cross-sectional quantitative study to evaluate the relationships of in-service teachers' level of sense of purpose, authenticity, and teacher identity, and their self-reported levels of resilience, persistence, work commitment, and work satisfaction. So going back to that driver diagram that I talked about. So if my problem of practice that I was really working on was teacher retention, the driver I chose to focus on was teacher well-being. And then the pieces that I attached to that driver were purpose, authenticity, and identity. And so I was looking at those three pieces as part of teacher well-being. And then the outcome measures that I was looking at was resilience, persistence, work commitment, and work satisfaction, those representing the outcome measures of teacher well-being and as a result, teacher retention. And so that's kind of like how I had to visualize it at some point, because it seems so like I was like, I have all these things. Reading this purpose of the study is a tongue twister sometimes. And so that's kind of how I had to visualize it in order to help myself see the big picture. So my research questions, once it moves forward. My research questions, I had 4. The first one really was attaching it. Are there statistically significant relationships between those measured constructs, purpose, authenticity, teacher identity, resilience, persistence, work commitment, and work satisfaction across demographic areas? So I asked some questions about what the school setting. Are you in an urban, suburban, rural school setting? What grade level do you teach? Elementary, middle school, high school? And so I asked a few of those questions. How long have you been teaching? And so we wanted to see if there were some differences in that. Second one was, how do teachers' self-reported levels of sense of purpose and purpose orientation, authenticity, and teacher identity correlate to their levels of resilience, persistence, work commitment, and work satisfaction? The third one was more of a predictor question. So how do teachers' self-reported levels of sense of purpose, purpose orientation, authenticity, and teacher identity predict resilience, persistence, work commitment, and work satisfaction? And then finally, this was an additional one that was added in when we started to see some interesting results. Do purpose, authenticity, teacher identity, resilience, persistence, work satisfaction, and work commitment predict numbers of years in teaching? And so this combined 3 and 4 really gave some interesting things to ponder in the results. So going back to that driver diagram, as this is considering moving right now, going back to that driver diagram, I talked about, again, teacher retention, and we're focused on teacher well-being being a driver for that. And then I focused on purpose, authenticity, and identity. So these are some of the operational definitions for those constructs that I focused on. So purpose being something that really does connect to well-being, and Desi and Ryan have done a lot of research about that, and I love diving into their work. And then purpose being, Damon defined it as a stable and generalized intention to accomplish something that is once meaningful to the self and of consequence to the world. So having this thing that it means something to you, and you want to make it. And I think like this is where teachers live, right? Like this is what kind of drew me to this work around purpose, is that, you know, we get into teaching because we want to be in this space of, I love to do this because I want to make a difference. And I love to do this because I want to make a difference. There's both sides to that. Authenticity is, it also is connected to well-being. Kernis and Goldman did research around that, and living according to one's true self is connected to well-being. And then authenticity refers to the degree in which a person acts in agreement with one's true self. And Vanden Bosch and Terrace, their research also showed that people who reported higher levels of authenticity also reported higher levels of work engagement, job satisfaction and dedication, and lower levels of stress and negativity. And then moving into identity, Identity is connected with psychological well-being, according to Bronx research. And then moving a little bit into social identity, because the research was more about teacher identity. That social identity is that a person's identity becomes intertwined with the goals of the group. And kind of going back to where I started with, like what Naya says, it's such a personal profession. We give so much of ourselves, and there's this intertwining. And so then Naya's here, teacher identity derives from the impact of the personal emotional investment that teachers place in their work. And so these were the constructs that really drove the research. Just a little bit about the research, where it came from, and then we get to the fun part, the results, and what we get to think about and dream about. And I would be curious to know, as we get to the fun part with the results, because both of you are looking at careers in higher ed. I'd be curious about how you would see this possibly for higher ed, because I'm imagining this research in terms of K-12, because that's my experience, but I'd be curious to see how you might see it in terms of higher ed. So here's, again, the study. It was cross-sectional design, which means that I sent out one survey at one point in time, and it was a Likert scale survey with many questions. I'm so happy that people actually filled it out. And then we did send it to 23,000 California public K-12 teachers, and I had 310 responses from our viable responses. And so this is kind of the breakdown: elementary, middle school, high school, suburban. I told you I asked about suburban, rural, and urban. So just like a quick overview of who responded to it. So the fun part for me is the results. And while this is pulling up, since this isn't part of how I visualize the results for this quick little soundbite of 119 pages of dissertation, one of the most interesting pieces of that came out of this really wasn't actually in my. It was part of my research question, but it wasn't what I researched toward. But it was super interesting, and it's definitely in my future research directions. But we found that middle school teachers had a lower sense of purpose and lower sense of teacher identity than elementary and high school teachers, and that was just one of those interesting findings that it wasn't part of where I was going with anything. And so to me, very interesting in terms of what does that say about middle school teachers? How can we dive into that more? And when we know that middle school is such a challenging time for our middle school students too, and their time of searching, and so how do we support our middle school teachers in developing that teacher identity and developing that sense of purpose? And because we want our teachers to have that in terms of how we support students in developing those things in themselves, especially at this very important developmental time in their lives. And so that was a very interesting piece that popped up out of the results. This graphic here that you see, though, this is based off of the regression statistics, the prediction statistics. So the constructs on the left of the up arrow, that means they positively predicted the outcome on the right-hand side of the arrow, and the up arrow. If it's on the left of the down arrow, so how to read this, then it negatively predicted the outcome to the right. So for example, awareness of purpose, altruistic purpose, meaning about others, self-growth purpose, your own growth, and authentic behavior positively predicted resilience. Whereas inauthentic personal assessment negatively predicted resilience, which makes sense. The inauthentic personal assessment, the items for that were, even if people tell me I'm doing a good job, I don't believe it. Those were essentially some of the items. So it makes sense that if you were struggling with feeling like you were authentically contributing to your work, you would have less resilience in your work. And so when I look at the results that came from this, awareness of purpose positively predicted every single outcome. So that was kind of like one of the big things there. And so the importance of having an awareness of purpose as you go through your work. And so thinking about that of, like we started today, this session, and thinking about like when we share what brings us joy in our work, that it reveals a little bit about our purpose, right? And what our purpose is in our work, and having that awareness and how important that is to our resilience to continue to do, and to persevere despite, and also the persistence to continue to do and persevere despite sometimes, and our work commitment to stay in it, and our work satisfaction, our true well-being. And also for teachers, it positively predicted, awareness of purpose positively predicted the number of years in teaching. An interesting piece that happened out of this also, though, was when you look at number of years in teaching, awakening to purpose and altruistic purpose negatively predicted number of years in teaching. What's interesting about that and makes sense is, awakening to purpose we see up here in the top part as being important to work satisfaction, to work commitment. The research shows that awakening to purpose is important in young people and college students. So it makes it, kind of makes you start to theorize and wonder, like, is that, is it new teachers, definitely important part of what they're doing in new teachers is it's that awakening to purpose. But at some point, you want that awakening to purpose to become awareness of purpose, and to, become something you don't want people constantly awakening to purpose, because they might be awakening to a new purpose that's not teaching anymore, right? And so how does that how do we grab onto that with our new teachers and make that become like their awareness of purpose? The other interesting piece, for me at least in this, was that altruistic purpose negatively predicted number of years in teacher. And for me, like I became a teacher because I was going to save the world, and so I thought for sure like altruistic purpose was going to be like off the charts, the best thing there. And I really had to change my paradigm when those results came. I had to think about like, okay, what does that mean? Well, okay, yeah, we probably get into teaching for all these altruistic reasons. But then you see at work-focused purpose, positively predicted number of years in teaching. And so I had to think about that, like, okay, well, and work-focused purpose, those items were that I feel like I'm successful in my job or in my work. I feel like I'm an expert in my job or in my work. And I feel like I'm contributing in my job and in my work. And so altruistic purpose might be what gets us into teaching. And at some point, we also want to feel that sense of we are doing the best that we can and contributing in the role that we're in. And we want to feel that as humans. And so again, thinking about that in terms of your careers that you're choosing in higher ed, like, we like, what does that look like, doing the best you can, and as feeling successful and feeling you are expert and feeling like you're contributing? What does all of that look like as we want to keep some of the as we want to keep people and with that work satisfaction in higher ed? Sorry, I was stumbling over those words a bit. And so some of the implications for K-12. So this is where, because I chose this for K-12 because that's my setting, I would love to hear afterwards, since we do have extra time, since it's just us hanging out, I would love to hear like maybe some thinking around like what might be some implications for it for the higher ed setting, especially as you are diving into more of what that setting looks like. I know what my setting looks like in K-12, but what might that look like in a higher ed setting for bringing out the best in everyone and retaining quality people in higher ed to do the work that needs to be part of higher ed. So for me, the practical implications that I focused on, one of them was teacher evaluation process. Having experienced a teacher evaluation process as both a teacher and as an administrator, it is a very deficit-based process, which and this is for people, by the way, like my caveat is, who are not in need of progressive discipline. Like, these are for our quality teachers who are doing a great job, but it really is a deficit. It comes from a deficit lens. How do we fix teachers? And there are a lot of teachers out there who are doing an amazing job. So how do we help that? How do we focus on their assets and help focus on their growth? And so looking at that teacher evaluations process and focusing on more of a growth and asset based process that gives teachers agency over their own, because we saw that self growth was important and we saw that work focus growth was important in both in being positive predictors for the outcomes. And then how do we help with those reflective conversations centered on current practice and professional goals, and working towards co-designing and co-producing those teachers' growth plans and professional development contributions. The other piece thinking about is that new teachers, because remember, we have like awakening to purpose is important at the beginning, but we want that to be turned into awareness of purpose, and that altruistic purpose might be important at the beginning, but we want that turned into work focused purpose, and we want them to feel like they're contributing, want them to feel like they're successful, that they're building expertise. And how do we help do that with our newer teachers? And we also know that we tend to lose teachers within the first 5 years of teaching. And so adding some asset-based components that support new teachers in exploring, developing, and understanding their sense of purpose and teacher identity, and then supporting new teachers in developing their work-focused purpose orientation through developing their sense of expertise, contribution, and success within the profession. And so those were just some of the things I thought about with how this might have implications for the K-12 world. I'm curious if you've had time to maybe take a moment just to process, because I feel like I've been like talking a lot right now, but implications for higher ed, I would love to hear what your thoughts are.
Well, I have some K-12 thoughts, if I may. This is really fascinating. Well, one, because seeing the intersection with some of the work that I just presented at lunchtime regarding alternatively permitted teachers, and adding that whole other layer to being a new teacher and not having some of the experience, practice, and theory, right, to be even a little bit more ready for the classroom. However, I'm thinking about new administrators, because that's our master's classes are in that, and where I've had my focus as far as in my new role here at the university. And it's nice to see what's a positive piece that comes in line with this work is in the California Administrator Preparation Expectations, which we call the CAPES. There's a big shift in exactly what you're talking about. I mean, what the CBA has, I mean, some of the formality around a lot of those forms and evaluations, because it's bargained and there's particular implications that way, right? Because it has to be used in both ways. The forms are the forms, but from a coaching background that I've had, I was an academic coach, and bringing that to the work, and then seeing the research and how it intersects, and then what the expectations are. It is a focus on asset-based work with teachers, knowing that we should differentiate how we work with teachers based off their years of experience, their interests, their other areas. And it's not a top-down approach that we should be, developing our admin. It's about more of like, I see it like a network, right? An overlapping of our circles, and how we can, as administrators, open up things, or provide opportunity, connect people, right? Because you're kind of the connector to help those thrive, as I love the word, and cultivate like an environment that is all about well-being and thriving, so that they can do their most, and buffering all that other stuff, so that people can teach in the classroom and do what they need to, and do it well and with passion again, right? And the things that we always have maybe missed. And I really was hearing the connection to what we have, the new performance assessment for Cal APA, because one of the entire cycles, I mean, they all are working on asset-based components to the system and how we also look at our students. But the third cycle is founded exactly in this work. And it's coaching as a leader, but coaching from an asset-based adult learning lens to cultivate thriving teachers. And so it was exciting. And I thought you should know, that's what I've been really passionate about the work. I mean, I'm not always excited that everything's about a test, but what's cool about the Cal APA is that focus, and also that it's performance-based, so that they get to demonstrate themselves actually coaching another teacher. And and it's the beginning, right? It takes a long time to grow that and continue that work, but we're moving in the right direction as we're continuing, at least in California, to shift that lens, that focus in many different ways about our roles as school site administrators. And I thought that would be hopeful and something for you to know.
No, that's,
Yeah, right.
I'm like, ooh, like invite me to the party here. This will be fun.
I know, right? Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, no, I love that intersection and that idea of it becomes it's not one size fits all, and it's, super individually growth based, and what are our individual things that we contribute to, as a human. We all have assets. What are those assets that we contribute, and how do we grow those assets and grow those as contributions to wherever we are placed?
Right. And how do you connect teachers together to build their own, a network in which they're empowered to continue to grow that? So instead of the principal or vice principal being seen as a barrier, but rather someone who works to navigate and shift things so that can keep happening, right? Because there's all things happening at a school site that can be barriers to that work. And and I know in our program, we just happen to work, bring in a lot of the pieces from Elena Aguilar and the art of coaching, and then moving to coaching for equity, because her lens, and Onward really talks about thriving, her second work, but it comes from this framework, right? And so that's been a nice bridge in updating our courses, where I think some of the old stuff was very it still was the same thing, and you followed the impact cycle or whatever it was called. I have the old book in front of me, but it really wasn't about that human connection, and that as an admin or as a coach, we're facilitating someone else's thinking. But you're right, there's a percentage of those who, you also play that other role, and that's the hard role of those courageous conversations, where sometimes we have to push because those teachers have deficit thinking for their students, and there's things that need to be addressed and worked on or worked out because it's not good for kids, and it's not creating an equity centered school. But that's a percent of also what we do, right? But the most of it.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah. For the most part, that's not where everyone lies.
Right. They're the outliers. And having dealt with the progressive discipline process with a teacher, it was like, there can still be a human component of
absolutely
coaching and support, and what can I do? And then, at the end of the day, then yes, sometimes you have to bring that accountability piece in, and that there's that side too sometimes, but that they tend to be out. I mean, in my experience, at least, they
are outliers. And the outliers are the ones that tend to be the ones that, right, that
yep,
they are the ones that are the ones for various reasons are coming up, right? It's sprinkled across. It's like the same three almost all the time for inappropriate stuff that occurs. And I think, right, our teachers know that too. And they actually, that's different research, but when they feel supported by having someone have courageous conversations, or a leader having those, it also helps them go validate, hey, we're on the right path and we're doing the right thing over here. And there's nothing worse than feeling like we're doing all the work and that person never does anything, right? That's a whole body of research also. So, and practice. Yes. Well, thank you. This was really exciting. And also, what program did you use to do your presentation? I like how it's the board, but then highlights. I have to ask, did you guys talk? I love it.
So I just use PowerPoint, and that's the crazy of my brain right there.
Right, but how did you did PowerPoint, but
I see what she just designed different slides and she made
Yes.
them like that. So each one is just an individual slide. She just took that and blew it up.
Yes.
Oh, I get
So-
it. Okay.
So I did the initial poster presentation thing, and then I screen captured each square of the small parts. And then I made that bigger, and then I used the triangle to make look like it's like
Shadow.
zooming out.
Oh, yeah,
That's
'cause
really
it kind-
clever.
That's a
super
really
smart.
great idea. I have to
Yeah.
say, it's really nice. And I was playing with Canva. This is my first time today. I did the whole program in Canva. Sorry, this is not research related, but these are the things we have to do to present and make it like grab focus. So I choose the presenting feature of Canva so it could take all the parts of the program and not have to redo anything except for some like little stretching out and so forth. So I was wondering, I was like, oh, it seems like something like Canva, but yeah, no, that looks really great.
Thank you. Thank
Love
you.
it.
I appreciate that.
So I would love to geek out on the research piece just a little bit. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about how you developed your survey?
So the survey is actually, I think it's 7 scales. And that I went and so 1, 2, 3 of the scales are actually Dr. Yuhumenko's scales. So it's her scales on sense of purpose and purpose in life orientation, and then her teacher identity scale. So 3 of them are hers. And then the other ones I researched to find scales that, I looked for authenticity scale. I looked for a scale on resilience. I used the one scale, I adapted a scale called satisfaction with life from Diener. He has a satisfaction with life scale, and I adapted that it has been adapted for work. I adapted it for teaching. And the reason I chose that one is because there's already been a lot connecting purpose with satisfaction with life. And so it was just a slightly different connection.
So it's kind of like a mashup of these different scales
mashup
from
of scales.
existing instruments. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Thanks. And were you then just mainly using regression models or?
Yeah, I use for the first research question, which was about the demographic and background, I used ANOVA for almost every one of them except for there was a correlation, years in teaching, that was a correlation one. Then the second research question was just straight a Pearson's correlation. And then for research, so the graphic that I showed, that was showing the regression results.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
I'm like, don't ask me, don't get much deeper in the statistics there. I'm gonna have to phone a friend. Dr. Walsh, this has come a long way since last summer, huh?
And didn't I tell you, you would get there.
So Pa and Jenna, any comments or questions? I know that this is it's pretty different from what you shared about your work, but any thoughts?
Yeah, I do have some thoughts. I was looking at this as applying it to newer faculty who are of color and how they have imposter syndromes and how we can support them on campus, because a lot of students of minorities don't have a mentor. And if we have faculty who also aren't being supported, how can they in turn be mentors to students to help students with success? So I was kind of looking at this and making that connection and how we can actually help with that. And I was also thinking of like funding. How does funding affect this? You have programs like the LGBTQ, programming on campus, which is relatively new, that they are so passionate about the work they want to do to help the students succeed, but at the same time, they don't have the funding to help them, continue their work. So how can we create growth in these people if they don't have the funding to continue their work? So I was kind of looking at a lot of different things. I know it's K through 12, but I think a lot of the ideas and things that came up, they do connect to anyone who wants to help students succeed, anyone who is new in the education field in general, how there is burnout rate in whichever department you're at and whatever you are doing.
Yeah.
I love that connection with imposter syndrome too. Like, oh, that would be fun to dive into, like how these might maybe mediate a little bit with that.
Yeah, and I wanted to actually I'll say, how does tenure affect faculty and the way they continue to do the work? Just things that I was considering while you were going through the presentation.
And a couple of the studies you just triggered, like a couple of studies that I found as I was trying to find research, did speak to I think it might have been one of the authenticity studies. Now that I'm thinking about it, it did speak a little bit for higher ed faculty, is especially that disconnect sometimes when you feel yourself as a teacher, and yet for tenure there's this research component. And so where you and authenticity and identity have like this kind of, I feel like these like little bit gray lines that when I see them weave in, but almost like, where's your identity, or how do you feel the most authentic? Do you feel the most authentic as a researcher, or do you feel the most authentic as a teacher? And that split that could happen. And I like, you triggered that. I'm like, oh yeah, I read something like that.
Yeah, I feel as though, as Pa said, it's very applicable to, I think, any year of teaching and stuff. Obviously, some of it would have to be adjusted for the background and stuff, but I think that a lot of this could be applied to higher education. And then, as she said, the tenure, I would be interested to see what the implications of that would look like, whether it be positive or negative, because I think that it could be mixed for there. So
yeah, that would be interesting to see, like those perspectives, maybe a little qualitative work on that.
Yeah. It's always my favorite is to follow up the quantitative with qualitative.
Yeah, I almost started there, but because that's my safe place, is writing and and stories. But I did quantitative, so it turned out fine.
Awesome. Great. All right. Well, any other questions or comments for Dr. Enns?
Oh my gosh.
I had to say it for you.
Thank you.
I know, that's so exciting.
I love it.
Well, I'm going to pop off. I know you're probably about to pop off, but I'm going to pop off to just connect with Dr. Mendoza as we prep for the last closing session, but I'll let the four of you close. And thank you, Jennifer. I'm very proud. Yes, Dr. Enns.
Thank you, Dr. Walsh.
Thanks for joining us. All right. Well, I will go ahead and read my official closing script. Oh, I think I'm supposed to take a photo of us all if you're okay with that. I could do my screenshot. Oh, press the wrong button again. There we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you. Now my official script is to say thank you for attending this breakout session today to engage in the research our students in educational leadership are conducting to ignite change and to support fellow colleagues. Please make sure to participate in the attendee survey, which you will receive via email after this symposium. And then go ahead and refer back to the program to find the link for your next session. So thanks everyone for being here. Thank you, Dr. Enns, for presenting to us.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. And thank you. I had so much fun just like hanging out and getting to chat with you guys and meet you guys. So good luck in your programs and good luck in your future directions as you go through.